Hey everybody, it's your girl Angie. Welcome back to Kiss My Cheeks TV. It has been such a long, much needed break. I'm so happy you all are back with me. Let's get into some weekend in reality. Up first, tonight I'm going to do Ready to Love. Up next, I'm going to jump into Portia and her mess. And then last, and definitely not least, I'm going to jump into All Stars 2. I think those two episodes were 6 and 7, all live, all tonight. We're going to run through them and have a good time. Y'all know right before I went out on break, I caught an extremely bad cold. Thankfully, it was not COVID, but I still have a little cough. So if I cough or if I'm drinking my trusty water, please forgive me. But that's the only thing that's lingering that I can't seem to shake. But I feel 100% better. And I had a great time in Illinois with my family and friends. We'll talk about that trip another time. But Ready to Love. How can we make this short and sweet? Because I really only want to talk about the situation between Phil and Shiloh and how disappointed I am all around at that situation. I'm disappointed in both people involved, and we'll get to that. But the ladies meet up with the family. Nobody really uncovered any truths. It seemed like a lot of them were learning new information with the family, right along with their family. So, this is the worst season ever. Because by this time, you should really know who you want. If you don't know who you want, you know who your number one and who your number two is. And right now, everyone who has a choice, that's Frank, Phil, Sydney, all the people with choices are giving me games. Everyone in this show that has a choice of who they might want to be with, give me, I want to be with nobody, but I'm just here for the numbers type of a game. The few people that don't have a choice anymore, like Walter and what's the child name? Sabrina, they're no ma'ams for me. Dante and Aisha just luckily fell together. I like them the most, but I don't I don't see it going anywhere. I'm really here for the reunion. I'm looking forward to the fashion so we can have a good time judging the fashions and to see who's playing the game still when the reunion come around. I feel like it's going to be Cornel and Cornelia still playing around in my face come reunion time, but excuse me. Let's get into it. Um, when I think of meeting the family, I think of people that, because I think I told you all before, I never introduced anybody to my family. And we were playing this game. It was a TikTok where, they answer questions, and my mom was dunking our faces in the water. Go check it out on my Instagram, Kiss My Cheeks TV, if you want to see it. But it was a cute little TikTok we made. And one of the TikToks is who had the most boyfriends and girlfriends. And my mom pushed my sister head in the water. That's because I ain't introduced my family to everybody I dated. If you ask my mom how many boyfriends or girlfriends, no girlfriends. But if you ask my mom how many people I've dated, she probably could count on one hand because that's all I've introduced to her. So when it comes to introducing people to family, that's a real serious step. And for you to be sitting in somebody's family face talking about, well, I don't know, I really care about so-and-so, but if I lose you, it would break my heart. You don't need to be introducing me because I ain't got time to play games with you. Only introduce me to people that's serious. Up first, Dante and Aisha. I'm over the flowers. Everybody has some flowers. I'm like, it's not the same. If you don't have a great speech, like Jason had a wonderful speech last year when he gave those flowers to Liz, keep your flowers. I'm not really a flowers girl anyway. Like, it's cute for a moment, but every time you see me, don't bring me no flowers because it's so much more. I don't want to water them. I really don't want to put them in a vase and put them anywhere around my house. I'd rather you give me a Sephora gift card, but let's move on. Let's move on. Dante, I ain't writing nothing down. I said it looked very fake. It looked like Dante was giving the answers that needed to be gave to get along with someone's family. No new information there. Sydney and Phil. Phil came with white roses for one, red roses for the other, and it looked like some peach crown royal for the dad. And I'm here for the peach crown because I love me some peach crown with a little bit of peach pop and peach juice. Whew, it'll get you there. But Mama want to know if Phil got a savings account, and Sydney is like, we don't ask people about their finances. Now you know me. I don't believe that you should judge people. I don't think you should ask people about their financial business when you first meet them. But if we're at the point now where I'm introducing you to my parents, I don't see anything wrong with asking if you have a savings account. It's different when you ask how much is in your savings account. That's a little bit crossing the line. But do you believe in savings? Do you even have a savings account? That's a simple yes or no, and I didn't see anything wrong with that question. Is it hypocritical of me? I don't know, but I didn't see anything wrong with that question. Now they're talking about Sydney's past relationships, and the girl is crying because she's been hurt in the past. Who hasn't, child? I wouldn't be on TV crying about it, but I'm assuming that was a natural moment. I don't think Sydney is that good of an actress. And the mom says, if you a player, just keep on playing and play on past my daughter. That was the realest thing I heard this whole episode. If you aren't really interested in my daughter, keep it moving. I'm going to tell you how I feel about Phil in a minute. Are we there yet? I wrote Phil is a player. Let's get Frank and Mumin out the way. That was kind of fake to me. Is it just me, or has Mumin passed up Sydney on Frank's list? I feel like Frank is really into Sydney. Really into Mumin, and it's something that we have not seen, because every time I see Frank and Mumin on my television, I think they're playing on my TV screen, and I don't even see where their connection came from. And Mumin always seems like a backseat player to somebody else's number one, but I'm gonna string you along so you can vote for me so I can stay on the show. That's the role Mumin gives me. But it kind of seems like Mumin is passing up Sydney with Frank. Interesting. Maybe Frank sees that Sydney is more interested in Phil and he's playing his cards with Mumin. I don't know, but I was here for the dad. Like, what you doing sitting here in my face and you got another love interest? I don't really have time for it. The uncle seemed to be like, this is the name of the game. And it's something feeling them say, like, I want to see the process to the end. Like, I don't want to choose who's my number one, who's my number two, because I want to utilize this process to the end. By this point of the process, you should know who you want. You should know who you're more interested in. And if by this point of the process, you don't know who you want, you don't know who interests you, you don't want to be with either. You just want to be on TV. If no one by this point of the process has sparked your interest enough for you to say, I'm feeling them more than everybody else, then you aren't feeling anyone and you're here wasting everyone's time. It's nothing else to do in this process with Tommy but introducing people to your family, and so you want to go play around in your family's face. Let's move on to Phil and Charlotte. They have to meet up with Tommy. I got a lot to say. I wrote all my notes about this situation because I don't want to miss giving my point of view on it. And then that's really all I have to talk about, and we can end this because this ended with a self-eviction or a self-elimination. What pissed me off about this self-elimination with Shiloh is that she waited all the way to the end of the episode to give it. I would have eliminated myself when Phil put his hands on me. It would have been show over. I don't have anything else to talk about. And this situation should be a very huge red flag for Sydney. But let's jump right into it. Number one, Shiloh told Phil over at the retreat, I'm choosing you. You my number one. I want to do this with you. And Phil gave that answer of his process. He has to see his process to the end. He didn't really say that to Shiloh. What he did was kiss Shiloh in the mouth, which is something that Shiloh has wanted, to kind of shut her up, to kind of pacify her. Oh, you choose me? Okay. There you go. Thank you for choosing me. He didn't reciprocate the response with the I choose you too. Or yeah, let's rock this out together. So Shiloh was pacified and was happy with the kiss because she hadn't got one. But when she got home, she was like, oh, but he ain't say he choose me too. And I need to know what's up. Shiloh, you needed to know. And I expected more from you, Shiloh, just because you give me an energy type of woman who you can feel people's energy. You can feel the chemistry. Aren't you some kind of sexual coach? I gathered that Shiloh could feel. She should have been able to feel because I could clearly see it. So she should have been able to feel. She should have been able to feel that Phil didn't want her. Just in the way he moved. He didn't do, if that was the first time he kissed you, baby girl, I don't like to call people baby girl, but girlfriend, or no disrespect in the terminology, but Shiloh girl, he didn't want you. He did not want you. He didn't do anything on this television screen for me to even think that he wanted you. The whole time, Phil had a plethora of females to play around with. Everybody wanted Phil. Aisha wanted Phil. Tasia wanted Phil. Everybody seemed to seem like they wanted Phil. So Phil had a lot of people to choose from. But one thing with Phil always said Shiloh was at his top. And it seemed like it wasn't until an Instagram model named Sydney, no disrespect to Sydney, because I think Sydney is a very educated woman. She talks very well, and she seems very intelligent. She just looked like an Instagram model. And it seemed like Phil might not be used to Instagram models hitting on him. Now, mind you, Sydney was only playing around with Phil as a backup for Frank. But it seemed like once the Instagram model paid Phil a little bit of attention, he forgot about all the connections he had with his plethora of other women. And he decided to play the game. Now, what happened? They went out for some drinks. Y'all had to have a good time because you can't tell me y'all spent all night in the club arguing. Y'all said y'all was outside arguing at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, which means y'all spent all night in the club drinking. I don't believe Phil had just one shot. He can say at the time all he wants to. What you was doing in the club the whole night, and you just had one shot. Okay. Some people can do it, but to me, if I'm setting the club off and I'm staying until it ends, I done had me a good time, and I know I done had me a couple of good drinks. But anyway, in the club or outside the club, wherever it happened, they had to have the conversation of, you ain't really say how you feel about me, so what's up? Shiloh, if you have to go to a man and directly ask him, after you done already told him, I choose you to be my number one. If you have to go back and ask that question of that man who you've chosen, then you already know he ain't chose you. You should already know, because a man who chooses you will make you feel chosen. A man who wants you will make you feel wanted. A man who is concerned about you doesn't have to physically pick you up and place you in a vehicle to show his concern. Not one that cares. So whatever happened, they got outside to arguing. And I'm assuming most clubs, fun clubs in the hood aren't in the best neighborhoods. But I'm sure if Shiloh says, I need a minute, I need to get away, I'm tired of arguing, I need a minute, and she goes to walking down a street, you couldn't visually keep watch over her until she cooled off and decided to walk back. You couldn't let her walk 6, 8 feet ahead of you while she cools off and you chill out until she calms down and come back. What Phil had to do, because Shiloh said she needed a minute, Phil had to pick Shiloh up. And Shiloh ain't tiny. Now let's just call it what it is. She's small, but she ain't no tiny woman. I'm trying to picture him picking her up. Did you throw her over your shoulder? Did you just lift her? She don't look like a lift up by the waist type of woman. But no shade to Shiloh. So I ain't no lift up by the waist type of woman either. But back to the point, she said, don't touch me. At the moment a woman says, don't touch me, don't touch her. Now, yeah, Tom's talking about as a man, he could have, Shiloh could have walked down that alley and Phil could have stood watch. He could have stood watch. And if she started walking too far, he could have walked behind her and was like, look, I'm just making sure don't nothing happen to you. When you decide you want to walk a little bit closer to me, I'm ready for that. But he did not have to touch her. When you pick somebody up, because obviously the car was some distance away, carry them to a car and put them in it, that is controlling. I have no self-control. That didn't seem kind of sober to me because remember, Phil was supposed to only have one shot. He was supposed to be the sober one. That doesn't seem like a rational thing a man would do that is not a controlling man. Most men, if they don't give a fuck about you, will let you then walk your ass on down the dark alley and wouldn't even call and text or make sure if you made it home. So I understand Phil's point of view of wanting to have protection over Shiloh, but you can protect people without putting your hands on them. The moment Shiloh said, don't touch me, you should not have touched her. You should have. I don't understand why you ever felt the need to pick her up off the ground. I don't understand. And then I have a little gotcha. Maybe I misunderstood the story, but if Shiloh was so irrational and so drunk, had been drinking all night, why are you placing her in a vehicle to drive home? If you care that much. Because to me, if she's so irrational, so drunk, she don't need to be driving herself home. Were you placing her in your car so you could drop her off? That didn't seem the point of view of the story, the narrative, none of that. I don't know. But I was 100% disgusted and feel 100%. Once you put your hand, and when at the end of the episode, when Shiloh reveals this information to Sydney, and Sydney is giving that whole, oh, he's never done anything like that to me, I'm going to have a conversation with him. No, if I was Sydney, that would be a huge red flag, because that tells me that this man, when he can't have his way, he's physical. He may not punch you in the eye or slap you in the lips, but he's going to manhandle you to get his way, which means he's probably a grabber, someone who will snatch you back up into a conversation. He's already done lifted Shiloh ass up in the air and put her in the car. He's a physical type of person, and he has to have control. And when he doesn't have control, he will be one to snatch you back into control. That's a habit. If he's doing it with this woman that he don't hardly know, he just met off of the television screen like we just met her, if he'll do it to her, he'll do it to anybody else. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. So, I said that's a red flag. I went through I didn't even have to write all this down in my notes. I done already said everything I had to say. Feel that situation to me is a huge red flag. A huge, just like Zadia putting her finger all in the nose was a red flag. Phil lifting somebody up, because you have to imagine it's the end of the night. I'm sure they weren't out on that street alone. I'm sure it was a crowd of people, everybody drunk, because the end of the night of the club, everybody drunk, everybody trying to make it back to their car, praying they drive home safely. Whole bunch of motherfuckers that don't need to be driving. You telling me that I can just imagine it? Phil has slung Shiloh, the peacemaker, over his shoulder, and she's probably kicking and screaming, "Put me down! Get your hands off of me!" All of this through a crowd of people. They probably creating a hell of a scene. Where was the camera crew? A mess. But let's keep it moving. Um, what pissed me off ultimately with Shiloh is you let Tommy try to convince you, well, do you still have feelings for each other? I don't want to see y'all throw it all away over this. What do you mean, Tommy? You telling me a man can pick your daughter up, sling your child over their shoulder, drag them to a car, but because it's a dark, stormy night, it's okay. Y'all still have feelings for each other. No. Let somebody do my child like that. It's on and popping. No. Y'all care more about these TV ratings and you don't want to lose an extra person too fast. More than you care about what this man did to her. If somebody says, don't touch me, you don't physically pick them up and touch them. Like if there wasn't a car in the middle of the road headed to smack Shiloh out, I don't see a reason for you touching me. You touching me because there may be danger down the alley. Then you just visually watch. And if you see somebody snatch me up, then you come down and whoop their ass. Tommy says, I think you all need to work this out. Don't let the feelings go. Y'all need to have a couple of conversations. Tommy was there producing a TV show. That was not good advice to give to any woman who says they have been in an abusive relationship in the past. I don't feel like he was trying to hurt me, but I said, don't touch me, and that triggered me. I don't need to be with nobody that triggers me. Why you want me to go back to that Tommy? That's why I don't think Tommy is the right one to give relationship advice on this show. It goes right back to Love and Marriage Huntsville. I don't care if you've been married 30 years, 20 years. Just because you have longevity in your marriage don't mean you know how to give people marital advice. Because what Tommy just gave Shiloh was some bullshit. And the fact that Tommy didn't read the man down for being physical and controlling, he just like his uncle in that whole think like a man bullshit. So let's move on. Walter and Sabrina ain't talk about shit. The only thing we learned about Walter is I guess he like younger women, but Sabrina would be the same age as his deceased wife, so she younger now. Sabrina, if you don't run far from Walter, I don't know why you playing on our TV screen either, all of y'all. Frank and Sydney had a little date. Frank gonna tell the sister, yeah, I'm still talking to somebody else. I like spending time with Mumin, but if your sister was to leave my life, I'd be heartbroken. That ain't nothing but player vibes right there. That's player vibes. Like, oh, excuse me. I like her and I can't see myself without either one of them. Hurt my own feelings. Let him hurt himself. Why aren't you women choosing yourselves? That's what I'm mad at Shiloh for. Shiloh, why didn't you choose yourself in that moment? I wish you would have looked at Tommy and Phil while you were at that conversation and say, I choose me. I can't be with no man that triggered me like this. You do it once, you'll do it again. I choose me, I'm out. Fuck this show. I'm mad Shiloh put herself through going to, because I'm at the end of my notes. Shiloh done had to go to the table with Tommy, listen to all the girls. Oh, he brought me flowers. He bought my dad some rum. He brought me some flowers. She had to listen to all that bullshit just to not even introduce Phil to her parents, which I appreciate. And then even after the whole round table, they decide nobody going home when Phil should have took his ass home. Phil should have went home for putting hands on people. Let's call it what it is. But oh no, Shiloh finally at the end of it, Tommy, I knew I ain't want to be with Phil. I ain't want even introduce him to my family, so I'm just gonna be out. I wish you would have been out earlier because it's very clear that Phil wants to be with Sydney. The only thing interesting is next week, the finale, because now we got to meet the men's family too. Do they pick each other next week? Because it's going to be Aisha and Dante, Sabrina and Walter, and whoever Sydney picks. Maybe it might be four. Maybe Frank will pick Moomin and Sydney will pick Phil. I don't know. That's the only little triangle left. And none of them want each other. They're just here for the dramatics of the picking of the show. But anyway, I guess we gotta wait till next week to see who pick who. I really can't call it because they say it's only supposed to be 3, but I believe it was another year they let 4 couples go on out to the end. I just need this to be a season where some people say no thank you. I would appreciate that. Instead of just wanting to be chose, I would love Sabrina to be like, Walter, you don't call me. You really don't want to be with me. No thank you. No thank you. Or Walter, like, why would you choose Sabrina and you know she don't want no more kids and you want some? How about a no thank you? Like, this really ain't gonna work out. Let's just go ahead and have a good, cute time at the reunion. We shall see. But I got to get into Portia and her family mess next. I ain't take no more notes, so that should be a quick one. Thank you all for sticking around. These will be out sooner, but I was on vacation, and so I'm catching them all up. So normally Ready to Love will be out on a Saturday. So this Saturday coming up, we'll get to the pickings of everything, and I'll put it on my YouTube when I go live and do the review. But thank you all so much for watching. Go ahead and like this video. Get in the comments. Let me know your opinions on this Phil and Shiloh situation, because that's really all I cared about this episode. Are you upset that Phil lifted Shiloh up and put her in the car after she said, "Don't touch me"? Or do you think you have that guy's point of view of, oh, he was just protecting her. She didn't want to get snatched out of the dark alley down the scary streets of DC. Now, mind you, I don't want to walk down no dark alley in DC either. But damn it, don't touch me if I say don't touch me. I'm surprised they wasn't out there swinging on each other. Let's move on. Off to Portia. I'm about to do another live next. Come back and let's talk about Portia and this mess over here on the Bravo. And I'll see y'all next Saturday for the conclusion of Ready to Love. Have a good one. Bye.